fathom thy father lies, of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth change, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Do you know where these lines come from? They are from Shakespeare's The Tempest, spoken by Ariel, describing the mysteries of ocean. But guess what? Shakespeare was not the only one to talk about the mysteries of ocean. In fact, from Shakespeare, Daniel Defoe to Virginia Woolf, almost every writer in literature is obsessed with oceans and seas. They have used a lot of oceanic imagery in their works. They have compared the sea to life itself. But have you ever wondered that why are we so much impacted with oceans and seas? Why is our literature, culture, media, and even anthropology so much influenced by oceans and seas? To explain that, we have Blue Humanities. Quite recently, in the UGC NET English exam, a question related to Blue Humanities appeared. Now that sparked my interest because this is such a cutting edge and an up-and-coming field that bridges the gaps between literature, culture, history, anthropology, and more, making it an exciting topic of research and study. So I thought, why not make a video on Blue Humanities, exploring its origins, its features, and why it matters. So if you are preparing for your UGC NET English exam or planning to pursue your PhD, or you're just simply passionate about literature, then this video is just for you. It is especially for the PhD aspirants because working on such kind of topics can make you stand out during admissions and research. So stay tuned till the end of this video and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more such insightful content on literature and beyond. Speaking of Blue Humanities, let's first talk about where does the term blue come from. Quite obviously, it refers to the presence of water in the form of oceans and seas. Why blue? Because definitely Earth's surface constitutes of 70% of oceans and seas. While growing up, when did we first acquaint ourselves with such water bodies, such large water bodies? Perhaps we may have gone on a vacation with our families on beaches and maybe had the time of our lives. But what about the large number of people who did not visit such places while growing up? How did they acquaint themselves? They must have watched oceans or seas in movies. They must have read it in books. They must have heard it in songs, or they must have watched it on internet, watched certain photos on internet, right? So that's exactly what Blue Humanities is all about. It refers to the vast trove of writings on water, specifically oceans and bodies, how these large water bodies are represented in a text. And when I talk about a text, I do not just refer to one particular book that you can hold in your hand. No, I'm also talking about a song. I'm talking about movie. I'm talking about travel writings. I'm talking about a guide, so on and so forth. Right? So now let's talk about the origins and the history of Blue Humanities. The term Blue Humanities or Blue Cultural Studies was coined by scholar Stephen Menz in 2009. It actually refers to a multidisciplinary area that considers oceans or seas as socio-cultural entities in literature, cultural studies, and historical studies. Now, what does that mean? So basically, our view of oceans or our viewpoint of oceans and seas is quite narrowed down. We might go to a beach, maybe click Instagram-worthy photos and post it on social media. But when you're talking about Blue Humanities as a critical, academic, and analytical field, it does not just stop at clicking photos. It goes beyond that. It talks about the presence of oceans in literature and how this representation of oceans in literature and culture has evolved over the period of time. Having had a basic understanding of what Blue Humanities is, who coined the term, and its importance in research, let's focus upon the history of Blue Humanities as a field and how it came out to be formed in such a manner. So before 18th century, a lot of critics, a lot of people, they had a very superficial understanding of the seas and oceans. This is what the historian James Hamilton Patterson has claimed, because during that point of time, a lot of writers focused upon the concept of ships and sailing. They emphasized on the movement of the ships on the oceans. So oceans and such large water bodies, they were taken to be mediums for movement. Their utilitarian concept was largely taken into consideration rather than their socio-cultural impact. This changed in the 19th as well as the 20th century, which is what people, the critics and writers, have called as the second discovery of sea, wherein you see a cultural turn taking place in form of landscape to seascape, wherein the oceans and the seas were taken into consideration as three-dimensional beings, wherein their history, their geography, everything is taken into consideration. This means that they were not identified by just their utilitarian character. How can they be used for transportation or for moving from one place to another? No. They were now considered and identified with a more socio-cultural character, with a more aesthetic character of its own. How? Because a lot of writers, painters, critics, they now gave the attention to oceans and seas in their works, right? So what kind of works did they produce? Starting with Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe to Herman Melville's Moby Dick, wherein he has talked about meditation and water being wedded forever. So you see this representation of Captain Ahab in a very mad, obsessive manner, and how he is being compared with nature, with seas, with oceans, right? You have Rachel Carson's The Sea Around Us. You have Joseph Conrad's Lord Jim, The Nigger of the Narcissus, Tobias Smollett's The Adventures of Roderick Random. All of these works, they showcase ocean in a very different manner. It's as if these oceans, these seas, they acquire a character of their own in such novels. Right? So if you are a scholar in Blue Humanities, what are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're reading any text which represents oceans or seas in such a manner? First of all, you have to take into consideration the opposition, the juxtaposition between sea and land. How the land is represented and how the sea is represented. Generally, lands are represented in terms of the certainty, the stability they provide, the concept of humans knowing the land, humans possessing the land. But on the other hand, when you talk about sea, the sea is wild, it's untamable, it's indestructible. It is a place of uncertainty, instabilities, storms, right? So this is how the first thing that is you need to keep in mind is the representation and the juxtaposition of sea versus land. Second, how and whether oceans or seas are represented in terms of a metaphor. Maybe the indirect comparison is with life, how we see the ebbs and flows in life, like the successes, our failures, the ups and downs. Similarly, as a traveler, especially in an ocean or a sea, we see the ebbs and flows, the storms coming in and going in, representing the stark resilience of the characters, right? Second, definitely we talk about the human-ocean interaction. We talk about how, especially if you take Moby Dick into consideration, how Captain Ahab is trying to kill Moby Dick, that is the whale. He wants to possess it. He wants to control it. But what happens towards the end? He gets himself killed in the entire process, right? So this is how the human-ocean interaction also goes about. And definitely, when you're talking about water, it is a part of nature. And definitely in literature and cultural studies, we see the broader eco-critical studies. We also take that into consideration. We take the impact of humans on oceans, the positive as well as the negative impact. Therefore, we take the environmental studies and the environmental concerns also into consideration. Having said that, let us understand the current relevance of this particular field. What is the relevance of Blue Humanities? First of all, understand that Blue Humanities is a very cutting edge field. That is, it is a very up and coming, emerging, and expanding field, which means that it does have a lot of academic preference, a lot of academic interest invested in it. Therefore, I was motivated to do this video because it was asked in UGC NET English exam quite recently, which means that it is relevant in such kind of competitive exams. You can expect questions related to Blue Humanities and various other competitive exams as well, maybe in the upcoming sessions or the exams of UGC NET English, or it could also be asked in the GATE exam that is just coming up in February 2025. Right? So it is very highly relevant in terms of the competitive exams. Secondly, as I've mentioned, it is an up and coming field. It is emerging, it is expanding. That is why it becomes a growing area of research. As I've mentioned before, it was formally introduced in 2009 by Stephen Mintz, and you see already a lot of developments happening in Blue Humanities. People are doing multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary research already in this field. So you see, people have researched about Shakespeare and Blue Humanities and climate change, diaspora, post-colonial criticism and Blue Humanities, feminist Blue Humanities. So you see, people have been giving a lot of importance to this field already and researching it in a very interesting manner. If you find or if you come across any interdisciplinary research or any multidisciplinary research related to Blue Humanities, please comment down in the comment section below, and I would love to read more upon it. I'm very interested in such kind of fields also. Apart from that, if you're thinking to pursue your PhD in the future, please keep such fields in mind, because when you work upon such fields, when you do have such interesting and multidisciplinary research topics in your hand, you will stand out in your academics, your research, your interviews, and wherever you go for your interviews for colleges, universities as an assistant professor. If you are thinking of pursuing your PhD and if you do want to look for such up and coming and emerging fields, you can check out my courses here on top mid page, wherein I'm not just also focusing upon UGC NET English exam or helping you prepare for UGC NET English exam, but I'm also solving a lot of doubts if you have regarding your research papers, or for that matter, your postgraduate thesis. For example, if you're working on your master's thesis right now, or you know that you will have to work upon your master's thesis in English literature in future, then you can check out this particular session, wherein I'll provide you with constructive feedback related to your topic, how you should go about with any research methodology, what is the relevance, and how do you need to prepare for your final viva in front of the external faculty members, right? So all of these things will be taken into consideration in that one particular class. Apart from that, if you have any doubts related to your UGC NET English exam or anything like that, you can definitely check out my courses like Indian English Literature course, or any course related to British English literature, or for that matter, you want to pave your way and understand how you should prepare for UGC NET English. So you have my UGC NET English preparation guide, wherein I'll talk about certain strategies, tips and strategies, tried and tested strategies that will help you in your preparation journey. These are live one-on-one sessions, which means that I can provide you tailored guidance based upon your needs, your requirements, your schedule as well. So you don't have to worry about following just one particular single or a linear path. You can focus upon how to navigate through your requirements as well as your schedule. Please go through this page because it will be of great help to you, not just for your UGC NET English exam, but also if you're currently a master's student in English literature and whether you have any doubts related to your careers in English literature. These are some of the things that I provide, the services that I provide to you. Please go through that. And this was a very short video on Blue Humanities. I hope it was of great help to you. If you have any doubts related to Blue Humanities, any questions related to your research papers, anything of that sort, you can leave it in the comment section below and I'll be very happy to help.
That's it for today's video, folks. If you found this video on Blue Humanities informative and helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more such tips and insights on English literature. Thank you so much for watching till the end and I'll see you in the next one.